Everyone, Delta One here. Oh, you guys are staring at the light. My back hurts. Ugh. Tomorrow we go and register the truck in the morning. Um, it's going to put a. I'll put it this way: registering the truck is going to put a bigger dent in my pocket than actually buying the parts for the truck. At current, the truck is $738 to register, which is more than any part that I've bought on the truck. Surprisingly. We're going to go do that tomorrow in the morning. But this short vlog was, I got asked earlier today. I'm just now, well, earlier yesterday, since it's 3 in the morning now. I think it's 3 in the morning. Yes, it's 3:30 in the morning. I got asked yesterday evening sometime, how many times did I change the oil in the truck? And essentially, what oil did I use? And what oil am I running? And did I change the filter? To answer your question, I changed the oil 4 times. I didn't run it, change the oil, run it, change the oil, run it, change the oil. I actually put the oil in and drove the truck for like a day or two to and from work, and then drained the first oil. Then I drove the second time the same way and then drained that oil. And the third oil change that I did, I actually kept that oil in the truck for about 100, 200 miles with Seafoam in it, I think. I can't remember if it was Seafoam or Marvel Mystery Oil. I can't remember. I think it was Marvel Mystery Oil I think I put in there. That's what I think I did. I want to say that's what it was. And I drove with it for 200 miles. And then the fourth oil change is what I'm on right now. And I haven't changed the oil since because I haven't gotten any miles on it. And I'm probably not going to change this oil until the actual 3,000 miles. And I'll explain that why. The first oil change I did was using STP, standard 520. I mean, was it 5? Yeah, standard 520 weight oil. The next was Castrol GTX. The next oil was Castrol Edge, and then the oil that I'm on now is Royal Purple. All same weight, 520. The first oil change was just pure STP, nothing in it. That was literally to just get any water that's in it that was like sitting at the bottom or anything out, and then to just get actual good oil in it and run it for a little bit, then drain that oil out. And then the second oil change that had Castrol GTX in it got Marvel Mystery Oil. I want to say that's what it got in it. I had ran that in it, and like I said, for 200 miles or so, or 1 or 2 days, I can't remember. One of the oils got in there for only 1 or 2 days. The other oil was in there for 200 miles. I drained that oil out, and then the Castrol Edge didn't have any, well, it's got additives in the oil, obviously, but I didn't add any extra additives in it. No Seafoam, no mystery oil, nothing like that. And I changed the oil to the Castrol Edge. And this time, my last oil change, which was like last week or so, I changed it to Royal Purple, same weight, 520. As far as filters, yes, I changed the filters in it. Here's the thing. The filters on the 3.6 liter Rams are canisters. Technically, they're all canisters, but they're similar to the canister filters that you would see in an air filter, is what they look like, instead of them actually being in the metal casing. Pretty much you're looking at what a motorcycle oil filter has, because most motorcycle oil filters, especially like on your 250s that you screw in from the bottom, it's just literally just a paper filter. It doesn't have a canister on it, like your typical oil change which you would see. So what ended up happening was I ended up buying 3 oil filters at first. The first oil filter went with the STP. The second oil filter went with the Castrol I want to say it went with the Castrol Edge. I did not change the oil filter when I went from Castrol GTX. I'm sorry. When I went from Castrol GTX to Castrol Edge, I did not change the filter. When I went from Castrol Edge to Royal Purple, I changed the filter. That was my third filter. But I said I ordered 4, but I've only had 3 oil changes if you don't include me running on the running on the Royal Purple. So all in all, it's 4 oil changes. It's STP, GTX, Edge, and Royal Purple. But I got 4 filter changes, but I only bought 3 the first time. That means the first 2, Castrol and GTX and the STP, both got separate filters. But the Castrol GTX to the Castrol Edge did not. I didn't change the filter for that one. Primarily, it didn't run long enough to actually get any metal in it that the filter would have been able to do anything to. So that was why it didn't get changed. Now, when I went from the Castrol GTX to the Edge, like I said, I drove that one for about 100 to 200 miles. That filter got changed when I switched over to the Royal Purple. Now, obviously, I'm switching over. Now, yes, I did use the STP, even though it's a cheaper oil. I did use the synthetic. I did not use regular oil at all. It was all synthetic. I am switching. I did switch oils again to Royal Purple. So when I switched the filter out the third time, I ran the truck for about 100 to 200 miles. I did not change the oil again. I'm still running the same Castrol oil in it. I'm not Castrol, but the same Royal Purple oil in it. But I did change the filter for the 4th time. It's a little excessive, but it's anything to get out of the bowl that the filter actually sits in. Essentially, that excluded the transmission work that I did to it. But as far as oil, that's all I did to the oil to get anything out. Oil pressure is good. Oil's good. No film under the caps. Everything's good. Now, I was asked about my transmission fluid. I will not go into what kind of transmission fluid I used. Because there's, like I said, there's a big debate on that oil for the transmission for it. I will say the first time I drained the transmission fluid out, the first time I re-put transmission fluid again, I put Seafoam Trans-Tune in it. I use a 4-gallon spray bottle to put transmission fluid in. So I would fill that entire thing up with the transmission fluid, which would actually be a 3.7 is what's actually in the bottle. So you'd have that in it, you fill it with Trans-Tune, you'd use that whole first bottle, or the whole first spray bottle, and then you would use about 3/4 of the second time filling it back up. And I drove the transmission like that. I did it again a second time. The second time I did it, I put another bottle of Trans-Tune into that second time that it got drained again. Ran the truck even higher at speed, at a higher highway speed. Came back and changed the transmission fluid again, except this time I did not add Trans-Tune to it. Now, there's still Trans-Tune in it, because you will never, ever, 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 don't let anybody tell you otherwise, you will never get all of your transmission fluid out of the transmission. You will never get it out. Unlike your oil in most cars, because this doesn't apply to a lot of, especially dry sump cars, you will not be able to get the oil out of those cars completely. But in most cars, your oil, when you shut off your car, whatever the oil filter does not hold back with its check valve goes to the bottom of the pan, which is why you can get about 95 to 98% of your oil out. So essentially, you can almost measure how much oil you get out with how much oil you need to put in for an engine. But when it comes to your transmission, you can't go by that, because your transmission, in most cases, you can only drain 4 quarts of transmission fluid out, if you can drain it out. Because you'll always have 2 places where you'll never get your transmission fluid out, especially if you're doing it in the backyard or in your driveway. You will never get it out of your torque converter. You will never get it out of your transmission cooler if you're equipped with one. You will never get it out of those two places because your transmission fluid will not rush all of that back. So you will never get all the transmission fluid that you need out. And your transmission's torque converter, depending on how big, can hold a quart or so. So you will never get it all out draining in one. I think the ZF transmissions, the 9-speed transmissions, the manual actually states that you have to drain the transmission and run it 3 times to get your transmission fluid not completely replaced, because you'll still have old transmission fluid in it. But if you want to say 90 to 95% of your transmission fluid is replaced in the transmission, you have to do it 3 times according to the book. So that's what I did with the transmission. That's what I did with the engine, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to know. If it's wanted, I will do a how much I've spent, what I've replaced, and all that. I will do that if it's wanted, because I've had like at least 5 or 6 people ask me, how did I get the car, what did I spend on it, how much did I replace, and all that. And I guess I'll go into that in more detail, and that'll be in a video where I have to edit it, and you'll have my standard intro and outro, instead of just this vlog that just pops in and out. So if that's wanted, I will go and I will pull up all the numbers, I will pull up all my receipts, and I will sit there and actually pull the numbers up, give my parts list. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to know, because some people actually I've been contacted 3 times by 3 different people that are interested in wanting, because they want a Ram like I did, a newer Ram, but they didn't want to spend the newer Ram price. Because I've stated before in a vlog that my truck's worth $29,000. I paid less than a quarter of that. At least I think I did. Again, I got to pull the numbers. I might have just paid a quarter of that, but it wasn't even half, even nowhere near half. So, because half of it would be 15, and I didn't even crest 10 grand. So, again, if that's wanted, I'll go into that. I have let those people know already what I've spent and what I've gone through to get the truck, but it's not in a vlog. So, if it needs to be, I will post one if it's wanted. But until then, I'm going to get back to work. It is still 15 minutes before my break's over, and I'm not spending it with you. Peace.